following is an excerpt from a poem written by Stuti Rawat, its title being the same as its first line. It reads, "I'm a mosaic of everyone I've ever met. I laugh at the smallest things, because my dad once said to me, 'What is life without humor?' I have an anthology of songs that I love, because someone I loved them first. I'm a kaleidoscope of everyone I've ever loved, even for a heartbeat. I always listen to the stories strangers tell me, because my friend once told me, no one is sent by accident to anyone." This poem holds a certain view of humanity. While the various social ties that find us will forever come and go, they will never disappear entirely. This poem affirms that every moment we spend with another person will undoubtedly shape us in some small way. A passive observation or a short exchange may feel arbitrary or unimportant in the moment and still go on to leave infinite impressions on us. It's impossible not to be affected by the world. Things are always changing, moving, and interacting almost invisibly. By the time you're watching this video, I am no longer the same person that I was when I recorded it. By the time you're finished watching, you may be a little different than who you were before. Tomorrow you will have experiences that you do not have today. You will learn about something new. You will meet people who you did not know before, and your realities will overlap for however long they are meant to. Nothing about us is constant, except for the principle that we aren't. Because of how much our natural tendency to grow is intertwined with external forces, we are never 100% individual. It's like the ship of Theseus. As different parts of the ship are replaced, it gradually becomes less like the ship it once was. Therefore, a conclusion could be drawn that the ship of Theseus is no longer the ship of Theseus. Instead, it is a collection of parts that is forever being remolded by its environment. One Piece is a story that understands this natural quality of the human experience. It explores how ideas, characteristics, beliefs, and, of course, wills manage to be passed on to others, rippling throughout time like a butterfly effect. One of the reasons why the theme of inherited will has always stuck with me is because, like many concepts in this story, it's a reflection of something that is undeniably real. Every once in a while, a person can be so influential on someone's life that part of their essence is preserved. Think about everyone you've known that is no longer around, those that you've lost touch with, or those who've sadly passed away. I'm sure that you can still recall plenty of moments with or related to them. I bet you can remember feelings, days, and words that you assumed would be forgotten, yet somehow have managed to stick with you. For me, I still remember the times in which I laughed with old friends about inside jokes that no longer make sense. I remember advice given to me by my grandfather who is no longer around. Even for those that I still know, the countless moments we share linger on whenever they pass. In Drum Island, Dr. Hirolook famously said that a person only dies when they are forgotten. But what does this really mean? For Dr. Hirolook, it meant that his dream to be a great doctor, someone that could cure people's hearts, would live on through his son. Chopper was just an ordinary reindeer who happened to gain the intellect of a human. Due to the hardship he faced, he had every reason to resent his existence, but instead he was shown love and compassion. Hirolook's will to heal humanity's suffering was so strong that his beliefs were able to be reflected to Chopper. They even went on to transcend his own capabilities. In that way, Chopper made Hirolook's dreams a reality. When he's sailing with the Straw Hats, treating their wounds and fighting for the defenseless, Chopper is acting on the same will as Dr. Hirolook. So, in a sense, a piece of Hirolook still lives. One of the first psychologists to study personality development, Gordon Allport, theorized a concept known as functional autonomy. Essentially, it says that certain traits are initially acquired through the influence of the external world until they eventually exist independently of the stimulus that provoked them. For example, Brooke was stranded alone for 50 years and, due to his extreme isolation, he was compelled to entertain himself with constant jokes. He also lost a lot of his social skills and sensibilities. After he escapes this isolation and embarks on a new adventure, he continues to exhibit the same behaviors despite being separated from the environment where they originated. In other words, our environments shape our personalities even long after we've left those environments behind. One Piece's inherited will plays into this same idea. We develop and absorb habits based on our circumstances as well as the people that accompany them. But as time moves forward, we continue to hold on to those qualities. We continue to hold on to those that influenced those qualities. We find new meaning within them, and we share them with others. Before long, we become someone completely different to who we once were. We may not talk to certain people ever again, and yet the past is immortalized within us, for we wouldn't exist without it. This isn't just a human thing, it applies to relationships with other species too. For those that have pets, I'm sure you know just how long-lasting a bond with another animal can be. It's certainly possible for a dog, a cat, or even a duck to be permanently changed by a cross-species connection. At least, that's what I think, and Oda seems to think so too. In fact, the very first instance of inherited will in chapter 12 featured Choo-Choo the dog, who bravely defended the store of his owner that had long since passed away. Varying degrees of our appearances, thoughts, desires, and behaviors all come from something or someone that existed before. Our souls are like sponges that soak up the various expressions of the universe. We are unique, but such individuality is something that must be defined after the fact. Sometimes the source from which we choose to define ourselves is based in DNA. Sometimes the source is a friendship. Other times it's our surroundings. Almost always, these numerous influences are based on pure chance. Seemingly insignificant or chance encounters can prove to be meaningful over time, so much so that you may question whether or not their influence was merely an accident. I'm sure there are certain aspects of your life that arose from a pointless chat with a stranger or a split-second decision. I bet that there are a handful of those times that, had they never occurred, your life would be unrecognizable from how it is now. When it comes to personality development, genetics and surroundings are crucial in explaining the trajectory of our lives. Equally important, however, is the unpredictability of chance encounters. Another prominent psychologist, Albert Bandura, argued that chance encounters are a fundamental factor in the study of personality. In a paper that he wrote in 1982, he said this: "Chance encounters play a prominent role in shaping human lives. In a chance encounter, the separate chains of events have their own causal determinants, for example, entry skills, values, emotional ties, etc. But their intersection occurs fortuitously. Some fortuitous encounters touch only lightly, others leave more lasting effects, and still others lead people into new life trajectories." End quote. So what he's saying is that both the nature and nurture of two or more people can interact in just the right ways, intersecting at just the right time to change the course of their lives forever. The randomness of fate is what creates the conditions for connection and ultimately growth. So there are definitely lasting impressions left by other people that make us who we are. But does that really mean that a person who happens to be tied to something you think, feel, or do is still alive? How exactly do we pinpoint the individuality in a collection of mixed parts? Well, of course a person is more than their will, and so people can and do still die, regardless of the mark they leave. But the theme of inherited will challenges us to consider somebody's soul to be tangible. It asserts that the expression of someone's soul is a reflection of their identity. How we express ourselves goes hand in hand with how we see ourselves and those around us. Our identities are tied to our dreams, and those dreams are tied to our wills. The stronger the will, the stronger the impression. Luffy inherited Shanks' peaceful approach to piracy. Law inherited Corazone's sense of justice and belief in a bright future. Yamato inherited Oden's free spirit. Frankie inherited Tom's prideful self-expression. On a smaller scale, you have Nami, who shares Bellemere's sense of humor, Ace with etiquette taught to him by Makino, and Sanji, who picked up on Zeph's aggressive tendencies. There are dozens of characters in One Piece that are presented to us one way, only for it to later be revealed that they learned how to be that way from someone else. These characters, despite being unique in who they are, echo the wills of everyone that they were and are close to. They share commonalities not because of any relation, but because of time spent together. One Piece shows us that the definition of a person goes far beyond flesh and blood. It claims that a person's will has a voice of its own. Those voices can and do reverberate through individuals, taking new form in how those people choose to interpret and embody what they hear. It can be something small or forgettable, or it can be an essential part of one's character. The same principle can be applied to a culture, a country, or even an entire planet. It's how traditions and values manage to last for centuries. It's the nature of how living beings interact with each other. It's the very meaning behind our relationships, no matter how brief. This isn't always a good thing. Just like there are wills of love, there are also wills of hate. They too can be passed on, creating endless cycles of suffering. But those cycles can be broken. When traveling from island to island, Luffy always takes time to meet the common person. Even though he doesn't care about their past, he is always interested in who people are in the present and who they aspire to be in the future. As long as whoever he meets is kind and willing to make an effort, Luffy will dedicate his entire being to making that person's dream a reality. In doing so, he also validates their existence. When Princess Vivi was standing alone against Crocodile, she was completely demoralized. This is because the entire arc, she's desperately trying to have her voice heard by her people. But after failing to reach them in time, as hundreds of people mercilessly killed each other below, she might as well have not existed at all. She was utterly hopeless. That is, until Luffy arrived and declared that he could hear her voice. This is something Luffy has done for people all over the planet. People that have been knocked down and silenced. It's why he represents the one Roger has been waiting for. Through all of those chance encounters, Luffy is now at the point where he is naturally embodying a small part of everyone that needs him most. Anybody that you happen to meet is shouldering the collection of voices that rang true to them at one point or another. So long as you are willing to share who you are with the world, then the essence of your voice will be immortalized in those that take the time to listen. So yeah, that's pretty much what inherited will means to me. But what do you think? Have there been people in your life that exist vicariously through you, or do you have a different interpretation of this theme? Be sure to let me know in the comments, as I'm always happy to continue the discussion down there. If you enjoyed the vibes, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you want to see more content from me soon. That's all for now though. Hopefully I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.